Hey, everybody. Just wanted to share a few things that I think might be helpful, things I've learned that have been definitely helpful for me. Two things. The first is if it's not hell yeah, it's no. If it's not hell yeah, it's no. And spend to your genius, and the investment is safe. Those two things I want to talk about real quick. A good friend of mine and a wonderful martial artist, Paul Hurtado, very wise man, gave me this advice. We were talking about commitments and how we get overcommitted on all fronts, and how busy our lives sometimes have become, and from time to time. And he reminded me of a story about. It's not so much a story as an analogy that he got from his teacher. Imagine a large empty bucket, and you want to fill rocks of different sizes in that bucket. You got large rocks, you've got medium-sized rocks, and then you've got the smaller rocks. And you can only put so many rocks in there. And you want to put the big rocks in first, followed by the medium-sized rocks, and then if you have any room left, put in the small rocks. So keep that in mind as we talk about this. But okay, so once you've committed, I guess the first thing to talk about is once you've committed to a schedule that permits you to write every single day, or at least most days, right? To write at least most days. Then the question becomes what do you commit to or not commit to that would conflict with this promise to yourself? What would you say yes to that would conflict with this promise that you've made to yourself of allotting X amount of time to write at least every day or every other day? So again, going back to our bucket analogy, if you what are the big rocks that you put in first? What are the most important commitments that if you didn't make time for the big rocks, they could adversely affect your life overall, which you don't want? So what are the big, most important commitments? Maintaining health, perhaps, close relationships. And again, everybody's different, That may not be a big rock for you. Your real job, if you have a real job and you're not a professional writer, but you obviously want to be, then what is the time commitment for your real job? That's a big rock that you put into that limited size bucket, right? So that has to go in there, your real job. Maybe the maintenance of your inner life, your spiritual life, your time for meditating, time for praying, time for silent contemplation. That may be a big rock for you. It is for me. What are the big rocks? So make a list of those. Take your time. What are the major commitments that are crucial overall to the maintenance of your life? Because if those aren't done right, if those aren't made time for, none of this makes sense. Okay, so then what are some of the medium-sized rocks? You still got room in there. You've got some big rocks, but you've got room for some of the medium-sized rocks. So what are the medium-sized commitments? Those important commitments, but they're not important enough to take time away from the big rocks, right? The big rocks have to go in first. And some of those might be, some of those mid-sized rocks or commitments might be your academic life, your studying of related topics or disciplines, the practicing of your instrument or band practice, self-promotion as an artist, or you're trying to get a gig as a writer, perhaps. So what kind of time do you spend on self-promoting and marketing yourself, perhaps? Maybe you want to go to a yoga class, or you're studying martial arts, or you're volunteering in your community. Those can be medium-sized rocks as well, right? Okay, so you've got a bucket full of big rocks and medium-sized rocks. So what are not a whole lot of space left. What are some of the little rocks that you can put in there, that you can squeeze in and around the big and the medium-sized rocks or commitments? Maybe it's coffee or lunch with friends on occasion, or walking for pleasure, or maybe you enjoy cooking. You want to spend a little bit more time preparing your meals because healthy meals are more important to you than maybe some of the other things. So maybe those are medium-sized rocks. Maybe those are big rocks for you, you know. But understand the analogy here. It's a nice way to think about commitments. So after filling up your bucket, and this can change from month to month or year to year, these commitments and responsibilities can change. Any other choices for your time measured against these rocks and commitments that you've already put in should be measured against the idea that if it's not hell yeah, it's no. You know, hey man, you want to go hang out and drink a few beers and play some songs? That's an almost hell no, but I mean almost a hell yeah, but no, appreciate it, you know. Or hey, you want to go? No. Or hey, you want to get an opportunity to open up at the Ryman for blah blah blah? Well, hell yeah. You know, that wasn't on my list of things to do, and I may have to miss my yoga class for that, but hell yeah. So again, once you've got those parameters set in, once you've got those commitments committed to, then measure those. Measure the time that it's going to take away from those rocks by if it's not hell yo, if it's not if it's not hell yo, if it's not hell yeah, it's no, and you can be kind about that. It's not personal. Okay, and the second part of that is spend to your genius, and the investment is safe. I forgot where I first came across that. Maybe that's an Emerson thing. Spend to your genius and the investment is safe. So obviously after you've paid your bills, you've contributed to savings, maybe you've given to some charities, you've tithed. It's the genius is the money spent on your genius, what contributes to your genius. So what is your genius? Well, it's those powers, those talents and those passions that make you the gifted and unique human being that you are, the artist that you are. That is your genius, your daimon, right? So spend to that, and the investment is safe. So maybe that money spent, again, after the big rocks, right? Your bills and your savings and perhaps your tithing. Those are the big commitments. But after that, spend to your genius, and the investment is safe. So for me, that might be money spent toward career goals, and self-growth. And for me, that might be like, guitar strings. I'm going to spend money if I need new guitar strings. I'm not going to second guess myself. I'm going to buy that. Live performance gear. If I need a new microphone, if I need a better microphone, I'm going to buy that thing and not think, if I have the money, I'm not going to think twice about it, A steady supply of good paper and pencils, books, money for good books, money for workshops or seminars online or wherever that I want to go to, because it will self-enrich my career. And so, money spent toward your genius, these career goals and self-growth, is money spent that contributes to monies earned, right? You're gonna see a value return on this investment in yourself. Goes without saying. So, keep that in mind when you're, maybe knee-jerk spending on something that may not be your genius. But feel confident that if you want to buy and you have the money and it's not cutting into your savings or your bills, measure what you want to buy by, does this contribute to my career growth or self-enrichment, to my genius? First, define what your genius is, and then feel confident. And that's really the whole point, is just feel confident that if you're spending to your genius, that investment is safe. So remember, if it's not hell yeah, it's no, and spend to your genius and the investment is safe. All right. Hope that helps.